have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that I'd just drop by and let you know that I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'll cause you no more sorrow. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take the place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Welcome to the channel, Ocarina and Colombia. Welcome to Coffee Time Live every Sunday. And we'll start off with the weather report. Channel, Ocarina and Colombia. Rain and more rain. Sunday. And we'll start off with the weather report. High in the 60s, and it's been raining for most of the past 3 days. I've told you guys that a couple times a year it does that, and it's been raining for most of the past 3 days. I've told you guys get a couple times a year, Christmas, we get a wet Christmas. I want to start off by saying, I've told you guys get a microphone, white Christmas, at a disaster. It's taken me 2 days to get it up and functioning. I'm hoping. Your comments will be appreciated about what you're hearing. 2 days to get it up and functioning. The level, how loud it is, how quiet it is, you're getting background noise because all the settings are out the window. This is a condenser microphone and it requires, it's called Phantom Power. It's 48 settings are out the window. Well, this is a power supply, like little amp wires, and it dies. And so I'm trying to make up for it. And condenser mic will work, it just doesn't get my dying. And so I'm double broadcasting. Alright, that's good to know. Tell me now if that stopped. Did my double broadcasting stop? Or did the microphone stop? I'm hearing a bad echo. Yes, it stopped. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm kind of winging it here because this shouldn't even be working. So I had to change up a lot of things. But so if it's working now, that's good. Today, I plan on talking about a few things about the Christmas tradition. And I was just told that somebody else, what's her name? Well, Afro Guajira, who does videos, who I've recommended, apparently she just talked about this. But you're going to get that because this is the big thing in Colombia. First, let me go over some of the things here. Rob, good morning. George, good morning from Northern California. So you guys are chatting amongst yourselves. Yuka from Helsinki. Welcome and thank you. Thank you and thank you. Phil, greetings from LA. Mike, good morning from Southern Armenia. How do you like the rain, Mike? Rick, good morning from Florida. Coleman, you're still in Nicaragua. Let me guess, another girl. Double broadcasting, it stopped. We got through that. Good morning, trying to stay dry in Armenia. Good morning, William. And good morning from Texas. Okay. Tradition in Colombia. This is a big one, Natija. And it's not because it's so delicious, but you know, when you're growing up, you have certain things and you crave them the rest of your life. You get fond memories. Other people say, what? That's it? You know, it's kind of like me and garbage plates. this is from birth, and it's gone on forever, and it's very simple. It's nothing but panela and cornstarch and some flavoring. It's a very simple product, but it's very cheap, and it harkens back to the days when Colombia was really poor. Like a flan? No, nothing like a flan. Uh, it was really poor, and it's cornstarch, basically, because cornstarch is dirt cheap, and they made something that resembles a flan, or flan, however you want to say it. It resembles it. You'd look at it, think, well, that's a flan, but it's not, and it just, I'm not a big fan of it, but I didn't grow up with it. But it's not Christmas if you don't have this, and it comes now in different flavors, probably artificial, but you can get coconut, maracuya, which is what this one is. So there's that. And the other thing that's a biggie, not only for you, but it's also popular as a gift. Combinations, they can be kind of strange. What we have here is apple wine, and this brand in particular, which is affection, loving, cariñoso. It's an apple wine and sugar cookies, or these are actually more like the Denmark butter cookies, I guess. So it's not Christmas if you don't have this. A little bizarre. The apple wine, it's kind of on the sweet side. It reminds me of Boone's Farm apple wine, maybe. Good morning from Carlos, West Palm Bay, Florida. Good morning. Okay, so today, if you're wondering why I'm next to this window, what happens when I'm next to this window? Well, it usually means I've got a guest in studio. And today we've got Robert. Where's your hat? Oh, you can talk now.
Hello. Welcome. Thanks for having me. This is a pleasure. I don't know. I look like a mafioso with this hat on, but
yeah, earlier I told him not to talk because during some things the mic is live, other things it's not, and I didn't want him to talk over the entry and things.
Are you
like
saying
that.
I talk too much?
No, I'm saying that when I'm here alone, it doesn't matter because I don't talk, but
Okay.
you'd be talking over something because you don't know when those things are. So that's why I just blanket. Okay, wait till it's time.
That worked.
Yes, usually it's a good-looking gal. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, there's that too. Okay. Well, the reason he's here is, as those regular viewers know, every handful of weeks he'll take a long weekend down in Colombia. And he used to come to Armenia quite a bit, and then he started going to Medellin a lot, and then recently went to Cartagena. And I don't know why, maybe he wanted to see all the rain, but this weekend he's back here in Armenia. So somebody asked earlier, is it a long trip? It's typical, 3-4 day weekend.
But I just missed you. That's why I came back. It's
Oh,
only reason.
that
Just
it?
to say hello. Yeah.
So how has your visit been back here in the rain?
I never have a bad visit to Colombia. It's always good. I miss being in Armenia. Armenia is a fun place to be. I didn't catch the weather, the way I wanted, but I got everything else done that I wanted to do. So I'm still having a good time. And I appreciate your hospitality. I actually stayed here with you the first night I was here. Get my bearings straight. So comfortable room. I recommend it. Anybody that comes down, definitely worthwhile.
So all you did was run errands.
Yeah.
I mean, he came here to get some sewing done.
Well, there were a few things. One thing that I did, believe it or not, is there's a medicine that I take in the U.S., tadalafil, anyone that's familiar with that. And if your insurance in the States doesn't cover it, it costs like $220 a month. And down here you can get it for $19 a month, I think it is. So before I came down, I asked Lauren, I sent him a message and said, hey, Lauren, is this available without a prescription? If so, how much is it? And he was nice enough to send me a link and send me the information on what pharmacies or whatever. So needless to say, I stocked up and I bought 12 boxes, 12 months worth of this medicine. And instead of paying $220 a month, I paid, I think, $240 US for 12 months. So that was really good to do. And a lot of other little errands, like down here, the service industry is so great. Anything that deals with labor, as you guys know, is cheap. So like I had a pair of jeans with a big hole in them, and I bring them to this place and they get it done immediately for me. I had a backpack that it was all ripped up, and I brought it to this place that has an amazing service where anything you bring to them, they have done usually the same afternoon. And between the bag and the jeans, I think I paid $5 for that repair work, which is really good. What else did I do? Oh, I also found a new hotel down here that I like a lot, which was pretty inexpensive. The previous hotel that I had always stayed in for years closed up, but I found another one that I like. And I found another. I didn't tell you. I also found a much more convenient place to do the antigen, the COVID test to go back into the United States. To fly back into the United States, you need the COVID test. And I found a place that's right downtown, very inexpensive and very efficient. I got my email the same day. I think within 2 hours of the test, I got the email back that I was ready to go. So running errands, it's interesting. When you have just a weekend here, you have to start planning for going home right away now with the COVID tests and stuff. So basically the next day, the day after you get here, you got to find a place, make sure you get your test done and all that. So, but yeah, great time.
Well, let's look in on some of the things that audio is popping. Okay, my apologies. Probably nothing I can do about it until I get a new Phantom amp, but at least it's working. Let's take a look at some of what Robert was doing.
Hey, man. I'm getting my $3 pedicure here in Armenia today. So, nice day out.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Lauren. Thanks for showing my nasty nails there. I didn't tell you that. That was a $3 pedicure too. That was the other thing in the States, costs $30 or $35. $3. They did a great job.
And a little less embarrassing. Those video clips you sent me from the top of that hotel.
Right.
I'll show those. About 2 minutes worth.
Very festive mood here in Armenia. Today is Saturday. Beautiful day here. And you can see all the Christmas decorations in the distance there. Very pretty. No snow, but nice day. So here I am in Plaza Bolivar. There's the church. Everything is decorated for Christmas, but it looks much nicer at night. And that is, which I never noticed it even before, that's the Hotel Bolivar Plaza. Right there on the corner. Right behind the big statue here. And on the rooftop there, that's the breakfast area. So it's got a really good view of the south. And I guess that's the east. And you can look up down the plaza. Really beautiful. So here's the view from the balcony here. Plaza Bolivar. Really good view of the city. The streets below. It's cloudy today, so this is the other side. This is the dining room here. And this is looking towards the south. And that's looking towards the west. southwest. Of course, usually there in the background you can see the mountains, but the clouds are quite low at the moment, so unfortunately you can't see the mountains. Yeah, I had no idea you were planning on putting those on. I'm sorry for the bad quality. I have a cheap phone, and those were really just for Lauren's benefit. So
I know, but it's somewhat interesting, even though on the cheap phone there's no image stabilizer, and that's why he really doesn't have palsy.
Yep.
But you need an image stabilizer to get it kind of smooth, and plus there's kind of a technique to it. But it was still kind of interesting. And it wasn't raining, but that was when the real rain was coming
in. I wish I had taken some of the similar shots at night for you guys to see how beautiful Armenia is.
And a lot of Christmas.
All the
lights
Christmas lights and the way they have it all presented is really, really beautiful.
Does Robert fly to San Andreas from Miami?
I'm sure you could. I actually live closest to Fort Lauderdale, so we have a lot of really cheap flights to Fort Lauderdale, to Colombia from Fort Lauderdale. San Andreas is on my bucket list. Probably once I retire here, I'm planning on retiring in Colombia in about 663 days. Not that I'm counting. So once I make Colombia my base, I plan on really getting out and traveling a lot more within Colombia. I have not really been to San Andreas before, other than a quick stopover. Most of my trips have been to Armenia and to Medellin.
Yeah, it's a great place. I had 11 days there, and it was awesome. Does Robert recommend a particular dentist? Any in Fort Lauderdale?
I've never had dental service in Florida. Florida in Colombia, so that's not something I've done.
Yeah, keep in mind, he's not living here. He just comes down every few months for a couple days.
How about you? Do you recommend a dentist here in Armenia?
No. There's a ton of them. Can't go wrong. They're all educated. They're licensed. I should go and get that broken tooth taken care of. But John, a little tired of this rain. Yep. Rob, do you want to share the name of the hotel you like? Well, that one was Hotel Bolivar.
Yeah. Let me explain. That the hotel in the video is where I actually stayed, and the hotel that I discovered was after I had already made accommodations at the Hotel Bolivar. So the hotel in the video is right on the corner of the main plaza in Armenia, which is Bolivar, Plaza Bolivar, and as you can see, it's right on the corner there, and that's a nice hotel. But that hotel cost me, just to give you an idea, it cost me 150,000 pesos a night for one person, which is the equivalent of about $39 US, a little less than $39 US. It's okay, but just right up the pedestrian street there, I found another one which is called Hotel de la Calle Real. Hotel de la Calle Real. Which is a Carrera 14, 1560, which is the address. And that is 75,000 pesos a night for one person, which is the equivalent of about $19 a night. It's not fancy, but it is very, very clean. It's very centric. It's right on the pedestrian walkway. And it's 75,000 a night for one person, $19. And if you add another person, it's another 25,000 pesos, which comes out to 100,000 pesos, which is $26 a night for 2 people. So the next time I come down to Armenia, I think I'm going to try that one. I did go in and look at the rooms, and they were very, very clean, simple, small, but you know, if you're just coming down to explore and you're simple like I am, I'd recommend that one.
No, you said they just remodeled too, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Okay. How long has Rob been in Armenia?
I got here Thursday. I still work full time, so unfortunately my trips they're frequent, but they're very short. So I got here Thursday, and my flight is leaving today, Sunday, at 3 o'clock. So I'll be out of here at noon, regardless. To
Yeah,
catch my
it's like
flight.
every other month for 3-4 days, basically.
Yep.
How much per night for the room? Well, I think we got that. And what else we got? Oh, you mentioned early retirement. Now, he's a planning fanatic. I remember when you came to Armenia, I think it was the first time in Armenia, and you had this book. And you had
Actually,
all
in
this,
Ecuador too. When I visited
well, in
in
Ecuador,
too.
but here for Colombia, yeah, we met in Ecuador, and then here, but it was your first time here. And he has this book with every detail you can imagine, like what's the width of the grouting in the bathrooms
No.
here, and
Not that bad.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So
Yeah.
you've been planning for quite some time, even though it's 2 years away.
Less than 2 years, or well, less than
Okay.
2 years. But yeah, it's just that it's like I'm so anxious that I come down frequently, hoping that I don't know, that the time will fly faster for me. But it also gives me a chance to really get to know the area and you know, become accustomed to a lot of different things. So I love coming down, and
Well, your passport's almost full, so you've been down here a lot of times now.
yeah, I was probably in Colombia maybe 8 times last year, and maybe well, the pandemic, I think it's maybe 5 times this year, something like that. So yeah, I'm down all the time, trying to take advantage.
The cost from Fort Lauderdale for 4 days. What do you mean, including the flight and food and hotel and all that?
The good thing is that Armenia has a new airport. Right now, my understanding is the only international flight from the United States is with Spirit from Fort Lauderdale. So I just lucked out with that. I'm 10 minutes from the airport in Fort Lauderdale. I jump on a plane, and then I'm another 10 or 15 minutes, like for example, from Lauren's house from the airport when I get to Armenia. So for me, it just works out great. The Spirit flights are usually with one piece of luggage. It's probably between $300 and $350 round trip. In December, just because all of Colombia seems to celebrate the holiday for the entire month of December and part of January. A lot of Colombians are flying home. They raise the rates on the flights unless you really plan ahead of time. So this time I did pay more. I paid about $500 for the flight. But as I said, the hotels are, you know, you can get hotels for, honestly, there are hotels here for like $10 a night if you want something that's really simple and like an area that's kind of,
Closet size with a
yeah, I
small
mean, you
bed.
could get something that's, you know, passable for $10, but for $20, double that price. They're very nice places. So it really depends on your expectations. But I'm a simple traveler. I prefer to spend my money on other things. I just need a place to crash for sleeping, and then the food is dirt cheap. You can get a lunch, you know, a typical lunch for $5. Breakfast, pretty full breakfasts are usually $3 or $4. So it's totally doable.
Now, it's not the only international flight anymore. They've started flying out is Copa, but I believe right now they're only flying from Panama.
Right. So from the U.S.,
Right.
the only direct flight is otherwise you'd have to
But
probably fly to
Copa,
Panama.
I think starting in January, we'll be flying to a couple places in the U.S. And I believe it's also Copa that's going to be doing flights to New York City to Armenia.
All right, there you go.
But I don't know when that's, you know, these things are staged out, and a lot of it depends on the travel, which a lot of that depends on what kind of regulations get passed about vaccines and things like that.
The one thing I can tell you is if you do, actually, when I came in, it was the first time I'd seen 3 planes all together on the tarmac. There was a Spirit plane, a Copal plane, and an Avianca plane. They were all there. And, you know, typically Armenia is a small town, a little small airport, but as I said, they just expanded. It's brand new, big, and I think they're trying to expand the number of flights in. But one thing is, if you do fly into Armenia from the U.S., just be prepared to wait a long time. It takes usually like an hour to an hour and a half to get through customs because they've only got 3 little booths for the immigration officers. And they give preference to Colombian citizens, and they also give preference to older people and children. And then once you make it through immigration, you also have to get all of your luggage scanned through a machine as well to get in. So that's another way. So it does take a while, but well worth it being here, that's for sure.
I'm getting tired of Cuenca, Ecuador. I'm quasi-vegetarian, thinking of moving to Armenia. Other places to eat seafood, good vegetarian, any interesting entertainment? Well, I've talked a lot about entertainment on the channel, so I've got tons of, I mean, whatever you want is basically here. There's several well-known vegetarian or vegan restaurants here, but especially in the past year to 2 years, I would say a lot of places are having vegetarian options. And as of this year, you're even starting to see things like vegan burgers, you know, whatever those. In the U.S., I guess you've got tons of competition for that. Well, they didn't really exist here, but this past year, you're starting to see you're seeing those on some menus. So, you know, plus you can always cook at home. But yes, there's one in particular on Bolivar, right across the street from Unicentral Mall, that is really good. I went there for my first time with a vegetarian, or maybe he was vegan, I don't know. And I conceded to go in. I did video there. I had 6 different dishes, not appetizers. They weren't like all entrees, but 6 different foods. You know, like if you had mashed potatoes and mashed potatoes and steak and vegetables. Well, I had 6 different vegetarian things. 3 of them sucked. 3 of them were quite good. That was a lot better than I expected.
Can I mention something about the food here?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've been back to Armenia since the pandemic. And I was afraid that I was going to find a lot of places closed and not a lot of selection. But I was very happy to see that a lot of restaurants were open. And it looks like maybe it created some opportunities for other people because there seems like there's a lot of new restaurants now, too. And there's a lot of...
ton of places went out of business, but they've been filling up this year.
Okay. They've
been filling back in, and it's kind of sad. I mean, you're right, it's opportunity for others, but some really good places are gone, and some of my favorite places will never be here again. It's kind of sad. Spirit is super ghetto for domestic travel. I hope it's decent for international. Well, you get on, you sit down, you get back off. I mean,
yeah, I haven't had any problems with Spirit. It's fortunately flying from Fort Lauderdale. It's 3 hours. It goes by quick, and in my experience, the plane is full of a lot of Colombians, and Colombians in general, in my opinion, tend to be very respectful people and very eventful flights. It's
you just get
simple.
on, sit down.
Yeah, no reclining your chair or anything, but no problem.
Yeah, it's not like you're flying to California.
No, that's one of the. As I said, it was made for me. This country to be able to be in and out on a quick flight. And
is the flight direct? Yes. Rob, have you been to Manizales?
Yes, based on Lauren's suggestions, I spent 3 or 4 days there a couple years ago, and it is everything that most people say it is. Manizales is it's just a visually very, very pretty city. It's anywhere you go, pretty much you have a view, and it's probably more beautiful than Armenia in my opinion. But there's certain things that I like about Armenia more. Like I really like the direct flights. Manizales does not have an international airport. I mean, it's not far from here. It's a couple hours, but I'm kind of lazy. I like to just jump on a plane, get where I'm going to go, and then start my vacation rather than using a couple of hours to travel back and forth. But yeah, Manizales is really good. I definitely recommend you check it out.
Stopover in Panama? No, it's a direct flight. Spirit sucks. American Airlines data from Miami is much better. Not if you live in Fort Lauderdale, it's not. Then you got, you're jumping on and off planes and going to different places and taking 3-4 times as long. Is there any talk in Colombia about requiring vaccines to get in? Yes. I talked about it last week, and is there anything new on that?
I think it's the 16th is when that starts.
14th.
14th.
Yeah. You're gonna need the antigen test or the vaccine, I believe it is. And if you're Colombian, they're requiring vaccines here. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're not really requiring it because, well, they're not forcing anybody to get it. But they are doing a vaccine passport thing for large sporting events. So if you want to go to a soccer game, if you want to go to a club or disco, they require it. Casinos, they're requiring it. In some restaurants, that's being determined by the local government. So, I mean, you can go to the store, you can go out and walk around, you can go to tiendas, you can do all kinds of things without it, but there will be restrictions. It is required on the 14th. Well, I refer to what I just said. It's not really required, but I mean, if you like to go to the bars, then you can consider it required because you're not going to go in a bar unless you have it. I made an appointment for myself for Tuesday,
Okay.
but I haven't decided if I'm actually going to go or not because I've been thinking the only reason I would do it is a lot of the people I meet up with, maybe they want to go to the coffee park, for example. Well, it's a big amusement park.
Oh yeah.
So I won't be able to, take them in if I don't have it. So for that purpose, I'll probably do it. Need to show proof. Again, you can keep beating that drum, but I'm telling you, you don't have to have a vaccine to a vaccine passport, except for those things that I just mentioned. And for the flight, you can also have, if you're not Colombian, you can have an antigen test. When it first came out, it was just the vaccine. But then they came back the next day and they announced vaccine or the test. And I think that was because of tourism. They just don't want to kill tourism, so they made that provision. I don't say things unless I'm pretty sure of it. So when you retire, where to in Colombia? That's a good question. You don't know yet, do you?
To me, I think I'm going to start off by making Medellin my base. And
Because you have more flights to different places.
yeah, plus I like Medellin a lot. I was like, Lauren and I have different thoughts on this. I really like Armenia, but to me, it's a little bit claustrophobic. It's a little bit too small.
He's a young party guy.
I don't really party, but I just like the flex. Medellin just has, you can get to a lot more locations with the nice metro and the transport, and the weather's very similar. But Armenia is a definite top choice, and I'm going to be kind of doing an unconventional retirement. I'm basically going to have no possessions except for a couple of small suitcases, and I'm also not going to rent long term. I'm going to here in Colombia. You can actually rent a very small room. And the other thing is I don't cook for myself, so I don't even need a kitchen. So for me, I'm just going to rent a small room. They have rooms with showers or whatever. You can rent those for $100 a month or less sometimes, depending upon what neighborhood you want to be in. And I'm planning on just moving around a lot to really get to know Colombia. So I may be a couple months in Medellin, then come to Armenia for a month, and then hit Manizales for a month, and then see Bogota, which I have not been to, maybe. And then for me, I'm also very fickle. I may really enjoy being in Medellin for a couple months, and then I get sick of the city, and I want to go down on the coast and spend some time in a village on the coast somewhere. And then I get stir crazy on the coast, and I say, well, I need some more people or some more movement, and then I move back to a city. So I really like that flexibility. I'm going to be very lucky to be able to travel, regularly like that.
Well, I attribute it to the fact that you've spent a good portion of your life being a government worker. And I spent my life doing exactly what you're saying. And so for me now, I've done that. I did that for so many years. That's how I ended up traveling to so many different countries. And now it's like, it's actually, it's still new to me to live in one place and actually be home and have a home.
Yeah.
And, so I usually didn't go more than a year, and then there was something else happening. So I get where you're coming from. Most of my life was like that, and I loved it. But I'm loving what I'm doing now. So isn't it great that we have all these different choices?
Yeah, I feel very lucky.
Can the antigen tests be done at the airport before I leave?
No. I did ask about that. They don't have testing there at the airport.
I think they might in Medellin, but I'm not positive.
Well, they say they do in Medellin, but I've been through that. I would definitely not recommend waiting to do it at the airport. The thing about Colombia, as Lauren has mentioned many times in his videos, absolutely everything is deliverable in Colombia, including your testing. And they have very, very inexpensive organizations where these labs will send people to your hotel a day or two before you're going to leave. You schedule it on WhatsApp, the WhatsApp app, and they come and they do the test right there for you, and then you get the results via email within 24 hours.
You can buy a kit from the pharmacy and have it delivered too.
Oh, there you go.
So it's like it's not difficult to get done. And he's still beating the drum. You need a vaccination card to enter Colombia. That's not true. It was true the first day of the announcement, and the second day they revised it. What is the rent price range for a 3-bedroom apartment cost? Great channel. Thank you. Folded hands. Hugo, you posted up on this live chat and it disappeared 3-4 days ago, I think. But this really only functions when we're on live. You asked about Lorales in Armenia. It's a good neighborhood. It's one of the 4 places that I recommend living. It's a great place. 3-bedroom, what is the range? Well, it depends. Like Mike, who's living down in the south in a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, is paying $160 a month. And then you've got William, who I did that 2-story penthouse place with marble trim and beautiful woodwork throughout. I've never seen so much storage in one place.
Yeah.
The storage amount of closets unreal. And that's, what was the price? $860 a month. Now, typically for a really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the north part of Armenia is going to run you between high 200s and well below 500. So let's say $300-400. It will get you a nice place in a decent high rise in the north. Still in the U.S. Yeah, what's your delay? Get back here.
Come on down.
You got an empty apartment over there. You should have told me. I'd be over there having parties. There's a new name. Yos MS. Good morning. I live in Armenia. Good morning. Rick. How do you find those small rooms with showers for $100 or less? So YouTube, Facebook Marketplace.
Well, also if you access the the more Colombianized uh, uh, websites and things like that, you're going to find everything is cheaper here.
Yeah.
There's one that I like a lot, which is anywhere in Colombia. It's in Spanish. It's called Comparto Apto. Compartir in Spanish means to share. Apartment is apto, apartamento. So compartoapto.com is what the website is, and it can be shared rooms. There's all kinds of varieties, but I've seen bedrooms with their own showers and stuff and bathrooms, and you just have your own entrance on them, and they're extremely simple though. I don't know if the average person would want to do that.
Yeah, it's just a bedroom and a bathroom, basically, kind of like an Airbnb, only, and it depends on what you pay. If you're under $100, you're probably going to get kind of a Spartan bare bones. If you're like $100 to $120 in Armenia, you're probably going to get a pretty nice bedroom, pretty comfortable, more comfortable bed. But they're easy to find. And I mentioned, and you're right, but you can also, Facebook Marketplace is used by locals here for a lot of things, including renting a room. Now, they'll typically only rent them for a month. So if you want it for like a week, probably will get turned down. So it's kind of like short-term rental, but like month by month. What is the best way to travel between cities in Colombia? Well, different people say different things. Personally, even if I had the extra money, in most cases, I would want to go by bus. Now, there'll be some exceptions for that, but I used to hate buses. And when I was in Ecuador, I traveled by bus because that's the only way to get around. And I was not a fan of it because it's problematic. You have a lot of bus accidents because the drivers are paid by how fast they get somewhere and how many people they pick up. So they're constantly stopping and then going way too fast. And, they're on the Andes Mountains, and twice a month a bus will go off and kill people. And it makes you nauseous. And so I came to Colombia by bus the first time. And once we crossed that border, we got on these nice, they look new, but they're not new. They're just well-maintained highways. It was a lot better. And the bus drivers here aren't paid the same way. They're just paid a salary to do the job. And so there was no frantic, I got to get there kind of thing going on. It was much more relaxed, much more informal. Plus, the buses here in Colombia, they have the bathrooms. They actually let you use them. In Ecuador, they lock them. And no, you can't use it because then you might have to clean it. So here, if it's got a bathroom, you can use it. And the buses are newer. They're well maintained. Like I would use the Boliviano bus line. And there you have the seats that recline almost like a bed, like a recliner chair all the way back. And they'll have a TV and music on the thing in front of you, and you've got Wi-Fi, and you got power plugs. Although Wi-Fi will be hit and miss, to be honest with you. But I enjoyed the bus. You meet people on the bus because you're with them for a number of hours. They stop at these cool places to have lunch, and that's just interesting.
And because busing is so part of the culture, the bus system is much better than, like, for example, in the U.S. It's just much more modern than you would expect, and they really cater. I did 2 bus trips through the entire South America, taking 6 months each time, and all by bus. And it's just they cater to that. So and the service is generally really good. It's on time.
Yeah, they're really good about
the buses are great.
Yeah, I prefer the buses. Now, the exception might be maybe if I was going to Santa Marta, that's pretty long way.
Or San Andres.
Well, yeah, because the water wings just might not hold up. But my first choice, regardless of what money I had in the bank, would be bus because it's just kind of part of it. I mean, you're here to experience life, and flying over it just doesn't do it for me. I mean, if you're rushing and you got to hurry and you got to do, then jump on a flight. But otherwise, I like the buses. What is the price range for a 3-bedroom Loralis? I already said that. Loralis is where I'm talking about. 160 a month. Shut the front door. Yeah, well, he's in the south, and video will be upcoming. I was actually supposed to go yesterday. I wasn't feeling all that energetic, and it was just raining all day, and the hell with it. Oh wait. Thanks for the clarification on vaccine. Greetings from West Texas. On the Adventure in Grand Colombia Facebook page, I posted up the original link and then the revised link about the requirements. So if you go there, the requirements from the government are right there. I'm flying in on the 23rd for the holidays, flying into Armenia. I live in Pineda. Recommend a restaurant to have lunch in Armenia. It depends on what you like. There's lots of them. If you want something really nice and you love steak, La Folgata can't be beat. It's expensive, but really nice. Beludos, of course, that's really good. They've been in several videos. If you like more traditional Condillo food, a Total Chuleta is one of my favorites for traditional food. They make a great sudao.
Somebody recommended something there. Típico Montañero is a good restaurant and very cheap. That's the gentleman that lives here in Armenia, so he must know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'll get. At a 3-bedroom apartment in Loralis. Well, okay, that sounds about right. Maybe on the high side, but about right. My family and I live in Indian Land, South Carolina. So we're planning to relocate to Armenia in 6 months. Love your content, the information you provide. It's life-changing. Thanks so much. You're welcome. That's the entire point of doing this.
That sounds like an adventure. The whole family. Awesome.
I think it would be great to be here with family.
Yeah.
That restaurant, they got real good delivery too.
Típico Montañero.
But it's your typical the bean casserole that you like, or it's very typical food. Personally, I'm tired. I'm bored with the typical food because 20 years ago I just was not a great fan. Although there's some things that I really like, but I tend to eat. Well, the Condillo food I like. I guess your basic typical bandeja paisa dishes. I've had enough. But there's other Colombian, more local foods that I really do like. I'm from Colombia, living in the USA. I will be ready to retire in Armenia soon. I'm glad to see that you're happy there. Bring a tourist every year to Armenia, and they really love it. It's my ideal place. I love it. We were talking about it this morning. It's not a beautiful city. It's lacking, I guess, in a number of ways. But you can't beat the feeling you get when you get here. Because he mentioned, I got back here and I felt like I was home. And that was the thing. Every time I come, I feel like home, and it's the people. It's different here in Armenia than in other places in Colombia, and that's what brought me back.
Armenia is also really it's an easy city to get to know because it's basically a north to south. You're in a little valley. Well, what's interesting is the center of town is actually on a ridge. It's kind of almost on a ridge up above everything else, like where the 14 is, the pedestrian. There's a long pedestrian walkway, and I'd say it's probably 1.5 miles long, maybe 2 miles long, something like that. and it's on kind of in the middle of the city, and then on either side it drops, and you can see the valley down below, and it's kind of in a grid north to south, and it's not very wide, so it's quite simple to get to know. It's extremely walkable, not nearly as many hills and things like that as Manizales or something like that. So yeah, it's in that sense it's really good.
Did you change format to donate? Looks different. No, I haven't changed the format, but I didn't post the link up that I usually do. There's the link that's in the description below the video, and then there's a contribution on my grandcolumbia.live on there that says contribution. And so one will look different than the other because they're two different things. The one that I usually post the link here, and actually it's coming up on the Stream Elements thing every once in a while. That is through PayPal. And the other one is through anything. Well, PayPal, which is also, you can do a credit debit card. But seafood. Okay, seafood. The thing to know here, we were just talking about this too, is I'm always talking about you can always get everything, and I'm never really missing anything, but there are a couple exceptions. King crab legs, you can only get those once in a while when Price Mart has them. If you like haddock, which I love, you never see it once in a while in Price Mart. But here, the reason I don't really miss it is they've got a fish that is in any traditional restaurant. It'll be a whole fish fried that is as good as haddock. And then you also, if you like trout, that's everywhere. So it depends on what kind of seafood you're after. You will find shrimp and langostinos, which is like a kind of a cross between a lobster and a shrimp, or a really big shrimp.
Yesterday I ran across, as you know, in Latin America, a lot of times they like to group together similar businesses. So you'll have all hardware stores in one area and all the obstetricians in one area and all the beauty salons in one area. But yesterday, it was interesting. I don't know if it's just coincidental, but right off of Plaza Bolivar, I guess it would be the southeast corner, there's a street that extends south from the plaza, and there are probably like 6 or 8 seafood restaurants, one right after another, after another, after another. I was interested in going back to try it, but I got caught in the rain. It rained so hard yesterday, I didn't make it back. But just to keep that in mind if you come to Armenia.
George, I'm just seeing it 9 minutes ago. Thank you. I appreciate the contribution. And just came up right above Coleman there, where it says Stream Elements. That's a link. So these days it's automatically kind of posting those links up. It was something I could select or deselect, and I figured, well, I'll give it a try. What was that one? My group of tourists really love the views, the mountains, the weather, people, and the food. They always say that it's incredible that the weather is so perfect and everything is very cheap. Cheap, yeah. I'm loving that. Any restaurant serving ribeye that you can recommend near Armenia? Absolutely recommend La Fogata. It's killer ribeye. It's U.S. Angus, actually. They charcoal it right inside the restaurant. Really nice restaurant. One of my favorite places. I just haven't been in 3 years.
Oh yeah?
Well, it's expensive. It's out of my league, but
Damn,
I used to go back when I was making money. I would go and I would love it, but I just can't afford it. But I told William about it. He's already been there a couple times because his penthouse is like 2 blocks from it.
Yeah, he's lucky.
I just tried to donate $10 on Grand Columbia Live. It keeps coming up saying I must donate at least $1.
He fixed it down below though.
Okay, I don't know.
The payment went through after I put in my email address.
Oh, well, there you go. Follow directions. What are you guys doing to combat the high inflation of the dollar? Well, so far, not really noticing it. The dollar has been pretty pretty good for us here in exchange. It was for a couple of days. It got up over 4,000.
Yeah.
It was about 38 now,
Yeah, 38 something, 38.5 or.
which is still really good. I mean, anything over 3,000 is awesome. So it's been in our favor here for several years actually. So.
And the Social Security increases for people that are retired down here.
There's that.
That'll be a nice little.
Yeah, I'm picking up
boost.
about $80 a month on that. That starts next month. On the other hand, make sure that if you're going to be living down here, make sure that you cancel the
Medicare Part B if you won't be going back to the U.S. and using it again.
And you can. I have to bring this up again because people keep saying, well, once you cancel, you can't get it again. That's not true. If you do it during the enrollment time, there's
General enrollment period. You have to enroll in.
there's no penalty. If you enroll in it outside of that, you will pay a penalty. But the money that you saved during the time that you're in Colombia eclipses the small amount that penalty is going to be. So if you're picking up $150 a month here for a year, and then you decide to go back to the U.S., that small $20 penalty for the next year.
No, it's for the rest of your life. Actually.
It's for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time to counteract that.
Yep.
Yeah, or do it during the enrollment period. Where am I? I'll invite you in June. All right, I'll go.
Fogata.
What do you like and hate about people in Armenia? There's nothing I hate. I probably wouldn't be living here if there was. What I like is that they're real. You don't, like, one of the things I didn't like in Armenia, and it's a cultural thing, and you'll actually see it in other places here in Colombia. You go up and see people, and you get this kindness, which is nice, but it's a socialized thing. It's not sincere. It's kind of like in the U.S. You go into a restaurant and waitress could be having the worst day in the world, but she comes up and smiles and says, "Can I help you?" And she acts all da 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 da. But that's not really what's going on inside her. Here in Armenia, that old saying about wear your heart on your sleeve, I swear it was written for Armenia. You don't have to guess what people are thinking or feeling here. If they don't like you, you're going to know it. They're just so. It's kind of like the family you never had. They're just always so nice and welcoming, and they'll grab you and give you lunch, and it's hard to describe. I've talked about it many times, but it's the people are just awesome.
And can I just mention something quickly? We had a little discussion before we came on air today, and I was telling Lauren that one of the things I never really realized is, like, in the U.S., we kind of have a very aggressive society. An example of that is sometimes you'll be sitting in a restaurant or something in the U.S. and someone just looks at you the wrong way, and there may be a potential confrontation just for little things. And Colombia is not like that. Colombia is just totally laid back. You would never run into that condition, that situation in Colombia.
It's absolutely live and let live.
And
here.
within Colombia, we also had this discussion. Armenia, in particular, has a reputation of having very friendly people. So,
yeah, among Colombians, Armenia is renowned for having friendly people.
Yeah.
So you got a friendly country to begin with,
Yep.
but then you go to Armenia, and even those people think Armenia is special.
Yeah.
And that's why the slogan here is amable.
And they're very, very patient people. I mean, the sense of personal space and all that is very restricted. And I think it's just, people are just patient in general with everything. They stand in long lines sometimes at the bank, and you have to, if you're walking down the street, sometimes it'll take you 10 minutes to get around somebody just because the sidewalks are very narrow or whatever. But people just, they don't get upset about it. They're just very laid back and patient, and it takes us a while to get used to it more than anything.
What do you recommend to exchange money? ATMs. It's the only way to go. Use the ATM, and you definitely want to make sure that you're using Colpatria and Davivienda. And with Davivienda, it's going to ask you to accept an exchange rate, and you're going to push decline, and then you're going to get the actual rate. Is Social Security complicated to apply for here in Colombia? I have no idea.
Well,
It might be problematic. I would do it in the U.S.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's highly recommended that you apply for your retirement online. Okay, but it's my understanding that you have to have a U.S. address to open the online account. So if you're using a U.S. address to open it online, you could be anywhere theoretically and apply for your retirement.
And just started, you also have to have the U.S. phone number. That started last month, as a matter of fact. Somebody sent me something on that. They said, oh, it's not just banks. You have to do it with Social Security now. Okay. But if you were signed up like I did a number of years ago, that doesn't apply. They'll still operate by email. But anybody as of last month, it will operate by phone. So I can verify when I go into the account. Sometimes they require a verification. I can still do that by email.
Grandfathered in, yes,
Yep.
sorry, yeah.
But anybody else that's
New
newer, then it has to be by phone.
Well, that's one of the reasons I told you when I moved to Colombia, I am going to pay a monthly service to maintain some sort of phone service in the U.S. for that reason.
I use the app World Remit to send money to my wife in Colombia. World Remit, I use it as a backup. Like if what happens if you lost your debit card, for example? And I had to do this before. Then I'll use World Remit. I send money from my bank in the U.S. and I go pick it up at the counter. You can choose a number of different places. You just go in with your ID and the number that they give you, and you pick up the money. So sending money to somebody else, World Remit's the way to go. Anonymous just tipped $10. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Anonymous. Every week there's a Mr. Anonymous. I find out later though. And Mike Carroll, thank you. I appreciate it. What expats here living in Armenia would like to have a lunch get together? Now, see, I tried to hook you up with them. Everybody was busy, including you. So I suggested go to the Adventure in Grand Colombia Facebook page, connect up there, and then you can use the scheduling. There's you can schedule meetings and things like that. Take advantage of it. On Part B, if you don't sign up at age 65, the penalty works like this. Say you move back to the U.S. at age 70, that's 5 years, so the penalty would be 50% for the rest of your life.
Right.
That sounds about right.
That's right. It's 10% for every 12 months that you didn't have it, so he's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, you're going to know in the year, which is why I mentioned the year. So you can cancel it out, get a year, and then at the end of that year, then you want to go back. Other anonymous, thank you. Do you know any affordable way to keep the U.S. phone number in Colombia? I'm working on that I'm trying to find the best way. There's several ways. I know T-Mobile has a way. I'm trying to find the best one, and I'll probably have that figured out in a month or so. I need it for myself, and once I determine what's best for me, at least, and what other options there are, I'll do a video on that. Just be aware that it is becoming very important to have a U.S. number available to you here. And no, Google number won't work. Any kind of VoIP number won't work. Magic Jack won't work. It's got to be an actual phone number registered to your name. They're aggressive in their driving, but road rage is almost non-existent. Their traffic and driving habits exist in the U.S., it'd be 100 shootings
true,
a day.
yeah.
Yeah, somewhat aggressive, but the funny thing is, outside of motorcycles, there's so few accidents here, it just amazes me. But then again, the high speed limit might get you up to 40 miles an hour, so there's that too. You get more on the dollar using ATM on the exchange rate. That's correct. The ATM, using the ones that I said, the way those two, and with Davivienda declining the rate, you'll get the actual exchange rate for that day. Without that, you're going to get nicked 200, 300, 500 pesos per dollar. And if you go to Western Union, oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, you might as well just take a third of your money and throw it away. Bank of Colombia, one time I had to have some money, so I pulled out $100. I got 70 of it. 30 of it went to the bank. You out of time?
5 minutes.
Okay.
I gotta hit my flight.
I signed up for Social Security while abroad. Use the foreign benefits unit of your region, but yes, sign up. Here's a downside. If you report to Social Security that you're living overseas, then every year you have to do a document saying that you're still alive. If you sign up in the United States and use a U.S. address like I am, and I'm just visiting Colombia, I never have to do that. And that can become problematic. You can download the form online, but the process of getting it back to them, you can actually, I've talked to a few people that knew about it, but they still didn't get money for 1 or 2 months waiting for that process to complete, because they'll actually stop your benefits. So just keep that in mind. Lauren doesn't like Bancolombia. Well, I don't like them because their fees are ridiculous. I use World Remit to transfer directly to my bank account. I can pay most things direct. Yes, that's true, but you can do it from Davivienda, for example, and not have all those fees. But then the best thing, unless you have to have it, is don't even have a bank here. Plus, World Remit, if you like Bank of Colombia, you can have it sent there. I can pick up from Bank of Colombia without having an account there from World Remit. And I use Rappi on my app, and I can pay everything through that app without having banking. And I've talked a number of times about why, unless you have to have it, you don't want to get into the system and have a bank in your name. So I won't go into it now. Besides, we're almost at the end here. Do they have small electric cars for about $10,000? No, but you can get a small car like, what's her name, just bought a little Suzuki for $10,000. Electric cars don't go over very well here because you're living in the Andes Mountains. And electric does not do very well climbing hills. That 200-mile range drops to about 30 miles real quick. Although there are some. There was a little electric, I forget the name of it. The one sits in the front, one sits behind them. I think it's by BMW. In 360 they had one, but it was just a bebop around town here, and they didn't use it very much.
I did see one of the like the tuk-tuks or the golf cart type things as a public transport here in Armenia, and it said on there it was experimental or something. So I think they might be trying to have those come in as taxis or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, and you can find them and they'll sell them. They're just not very popular because there's no range to them here.
Right.
Google, not really. There's issues with it, but we're talking about verification with the bank. It won't work. And if it's working for you now, that's great, but soon it won't. Letter requirement was waived for the past 2 years, COVID.
Yeah, that's true. But it's temporary.
Right, yeah,
It's only temporary.
exactly. It's a good point, but I think it's back on now.
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Yeah, it's not good. They need to make electricity put cars. Okay. We're gonna end it here. You guys have been great. Another anonymous $5 contribution. I thank you. I appreciate it. And Rob has to get to the airport, and we've already gone over an hour. So I'll see you next week, same time. Maybe we'll have another special guest. Beans. Yep.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah. You got to get down here a little more often.
Thanks for having me. This is from Good Mythical Morning.
Okay, guys. Ciao.